Warning, this review contains scenes of violence and imagery that may not be suitable for all audiences. If this sort of content isn't something that you're comfortable with, then feel free to turn away now. Viewer discretion is advised. It is the year 1892. We're in the twilight years of Queen Victoria of England. Lizzie Borden would be accused of killing her father and stepmother with an axe, and Pyotr Tchaikovsky would compose the score for the ballet The Nutcracker, which would go on to be one of his most famous compositions. However, England 1892, or well, more precisely Wales 1892, is the setting for Withering Rooms, a 2.5D survival horror set in a Victorian mansion and its surroundings as you try to kill or survive the creatures that lurk in the area, and with each death you reawaken in the mansion to find that the creatures have come back and the mansion has changed. This review will contain late game footage out of context, but I'll keep key elements spoiler free for full enjoyment. In Withering Rooms you play the role of Nightingale Williams, a 15-year-old girl who has been admitted to Mostyn House, a private asylum for a psychiatric evaluation. New patients tend to spend the first night in the gatehouse for observation of symptoms, and Nightingale wakes up alone in a dream in the gatehouse. After going through the nearby bathroom and hallway while avoiding the horrors that lurk there, she's able to get the keys off the now corrupted keeper and leave the gatehouse. She then enters the main house to find that there's an initiation for a new witch, and as Nightingale approaches the first witch, she's asked a series of questions before being accused of lying and burnt alive. Nightingale shortly wakes up in a strange room in Mostyn House and finds that the rooms and hallways are a home to a number of hostile creatures who intend to kill her. As Nightingale explores the house, she'll come across several others trapped in the house who will give her tasks to complete. What's happened in this house? Why is everyone like this? What's really going on? As Nightingale progresses through the house and the areas around it, she'll find there's a lot more than meets the eye, and this is no ordinary house in the Welsh countryside. But is this game any good? Find out in The Good. The gameplay of Withering Rooms I thought was pretty good. While Nightingale wanders the hall of Mostyn House, its grounds and surrounding areas, she'll encounter a lot of different enemies and bosses trying to kill her, and she has different ways of dealing with them. She can simply kill them with a weapon, use magic, or avoid combat altogether by avoiding them or hiding from them, obviously not in the case with bosses. Enemies are persistent, and smaller enemies can follow Nightingale if she goes into another room. Nightingale can preemptively prepare by peeking through doors to get an idea of what to expect before going through, or making sure things are safe first. Later on in the game, enemies will start patrolling and actively checking hiding places, which can make avoiding some of them a lot more difficult. Some will even set up traps, and it's not unusual for areas in the game to make Nightingale suffer from a status effect. Thankfully, if an enemy is killed, they will remain dead for the remainder of the night unless you die or progress to the next chapter, which is considered a separate night. Before boss fights, there are mirrors you can activate, which upon death will simply restart you from the time you've activated the mirror, which really does take away from a lot of the frustration if you're up against a particularly difficult boss. But the mirror is only active in the area it's activated in. The biggest thing I liked about the gameplay was the curse system. Using magic, getting attacked by ghosts, or being around their remains will raise the curse meter. This can have a number of effects on gameplay, as the more cursed Nightingale is, her surroundings will change to a more disturbing look, and some things not normally visible will appear. Some enemies and chests will only appear if you're sufficiently cursed. However, you can't get too cursed, as if your curse meter fills, you'll be curse rotted and you'll take extra damage. Though in saying that, there are builds and gear you can wear which works best when cursed. Though thankfully you can set down a candle to purify your curse, or sit down on certain chairs to heal yourself from it. Leveling up in the game via offerings to certain NPCs or chambers will also cure your status, and you can increase your tolerance to it among other stats. You'll get a number of outfits, headwear and accessories in the game which can provide a number of effects, and you can create a build around your playstyle with them. But be careful, if you die you'll lose a majority of your items. There are items that are permanently kept in your inventory, and as you progress through the game, you can activate Shrines of Remembrance by making an offering to them to allow you to lock an item so that you'll get it back if you die in a level. You can also begin a new night by paying an NPC to put you in a coffin, which will reset the night while keeping your items if you want to grind items. The gameplay I found was quite addictive, and I found it pretty rewarding for beating enemies and searching every possible nook and cranny for items, which made the fear of death much more manageable and treated it more like an inconvenience than a punishment. I played the game on standard difficulty, and while a little on the easy side, it was reasonably fair. The game's story I found pretty engaging, and I was hooked to it from start to finish. There are books and notes that you can read to get more information about what's going on and the history of certain things in the game. When you talk to NPCs, you can also get more information about them and the events surrounding the manor or another character, and I thought it was quite interesting. The game does have multiple endings, and each ending requires another playthrough. Upon unlocking New Game Plus, more options are available to you, and one I particularly liked was the fixed camera mode, which gives the game a more traditional survivor horror feel, and is much better at hiding enemies, as the standard camera would pan ahead as Nightingale approached an enemy. New Game Plus also unlocks another side quest and another ending, and does reward you with powerful gear if you put enough work into it. I don't often dabble with New Game Plus with a lot of games, but this game has been engaging enough for me to put some serious work into it. The game's visual presentation also adds to the appeal. The game appears to have also drawn inspiration from classic survival horrors such as the original Resident Evil, Clock Tower, Haunting Ground and Rule of Rose, and I appreciate the homage of being able to dress up Nightingale as Jennifer from Rule of Rose, complete with a dog companion similar to Brown. There's a lot of imagery and disturbing scenes throughout the game to try and unsettle you, and combined with the curse system changing the way the world is perceived, it's done to excellent effect. Enemies and bosses look equally disturbing, and they work very well with the setting too. While randomly generated, the rooms do make sense and are structured appropriately, which is pretty impressive too. I also like the use of the game's lighting and how simply trying to change the gamma won't help you, as there will be times where you'll need to rely on a light source to make your way through areas, which may sometimes hide enemies or hazards. Sound also plays a part, as loud noises such as fireworks or gunshots can also draw the attention of nearby enemies. It's clear to see that a lot of care was put into this game. However, the game does have some faults, so let's discuss those in the bad. The camera mechanic I feel could have been better. Ghosts in the game can be defeated with the camera, linking it to the superstition that a camera can capture a person's soul, and while I have no problems with using this method to defeat ghosts, given that I've also covered Fatal Frame games, I find that with aiming the camera and taking the photos are always on weird angles and you can't aim the camera to get a good shot if a ghost is too close to you. You can also hang up photos you like in the Nowhere Hub area for decoration, or sell them to a certain vendor for money to buy other things, with more subjects netting you more money. Given that the camera can be manipulated with the presence of fixed camera mode, I sort of wish you could enter a first person view to take better photos, or at least be able to aim your camera. I can probably understand, seeing as this is traditionally viewed as a side-scroller, so it would be a hassle to implement another wall on the opposite side if you go into first-person mode, but I think being able to aim the camera at least would make it worthwhile, especially if the ghost is floating, tall, or right up in your face. This is minor, but I did suffer from some performance issues with the game. I generally use NVidia Shadowplay for footage capture, but this game seems to not like Shadowplay at all, with the game freezing upon entering new areas or loading into the game, forcing me to close it and start the game back up again. I ended up having to use OBS for recording, which worked fine, but I was really at my wit's end before I decided to do that. There were some performance hits, especially in areas with a lot of candles, and one in the church as well. My computer is pretty beefy, but it even struggled a little with it. Thankfully, this was only confined to a couple of rooms, so it wasn't quite enough to become a nuisance, but it was enough for a mention. Other than that, I don't have anything else to complain about, so let's wrap things up with the opinion. I really had a lot of fun with Withering Rooms, and I ended up spending more time than I normally would with it. The gameplay is pretty solid and rewarding, and I really dig the curse mechanic. The story got pretty interesting, especially in the later half of the game, and the visuals I found pretty appealing, which also helps when the developer is inspired by and passionate with classic survival horror games. The only issues I had with the game were pretty minor, such as the camera function and some hiccups with the recording software, but I managed to get around that. Other than that, the only bug I had was with the dog not following me and getting stuck in their Nowhere Hub zone where he normally hangs out, but that was easily solved by restarting the game. If you're big on survival horrors and Metroidvanias, then this definitely is a game worth picking up. Going in blind, a single playthrough can take anywhere from about 15 plus hours, especially if you intend to complete everything the game has to offer. And even then, New Game Plus has even more to offer, so there's a fair bit of replay value which makes the efforts to get there worth it. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Withering Rooms the wrong room out of 10. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.